Hello, everyone. Welcome into more Ticket to Ride here on the Sorcerer Network. My name is Sorcerer Matt. We're back in the USA Mega Expansion. We're kind of in a mega mood right now, doing both Europe and the USA map, trying to trade off as much as I can. This is a really fantastic opening ticket start. I just wish there was a little better of a third ticket. I don't really want to have to make my way up to Duluth. So probably it's just Boston to Washington, especially because if we miss out on Boston to Washington, I don't really care. So there's a couple different ways we can kind of go about this, but excuse me, it pretty much definitely means we're grabbing Boston to New York to Washington and down to Raleigh. Now, I think often people see this and they go, okay, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and kind of come down this southern way, which isn't bad, especially considering how many points there are. But I think if I can manage it, going through the middle of the map is something I like a little bit better, on the grounds of it hooks up so much other stuff. Well, I don't like that. Because, yeah, I really would rather prioritize some other stuff here. But with that said, I've got pink, because Los Angeles to San Francisco is kind of a must here, and to the point of with blue, the chemist, I like that name, taking that, I think I'm gonna do this. So, and I think part of the reason also I want to go through the middle here is, okay, so with black, I need to spend 2 black to go New York to Washington. And so I'm putting myself behind the 8 ball there. The big downside of going through the middle is that you do need very specific colors. But so be it. Yeah, see, the chemist takes yellow. And I'm assuming that blue is trying to get Los Angeles to San Francisco. So, good news here. We can just kind of go off the top. Yep, there it is. I wouldn't mind white either. It looks like red might be coming down this way. So this is the other thing, is we might be able to kind of split ourselves to not have to come down the East Coast. I don't know. I don't think we need to freak out quite yet. Green is a little bit, we have to kind of keep an eye on what green's doing, because there is a lot of Vegas, Los Angeles that stays on the West Coast or even goes south towards Miami. Whereas there's also the runs that go to New York, Chicago, things like that. If green is coming towards New York, Chicago, that's a little bit more dicey. Yeah, see, this now becomes a little bit more interesting. And because, yeah, this becomes a little bit more interesting. We don't need that. I'm going to try to get a little bit ahead of, because what I can do is from St. Louis, I don't have to get into the Chicago, Pittsburgh, New York area. Now, I do have to watch with red already playing down in the route that I would like to take. I do have to be careful with that. But like, so we can grab this and we can grab this. So I could go Denver to Kansas City right now. And barring, I guess, I don't know, barring, I guess, a red, I'm doing that. also want to be careful that I don't miss out on Boston to New York. But I kind of want to make green a little uncomfortable here. Yeah, that's not ideal. That's not ideal. Okay, blue. Yep, you go do your thing over there. Yeah, because now I also need red to go New York to Boston. Okay, that's fine. I think I'm okay grabbing a white here, and then just going off the top. Man, I hate doing this, but I don't know. Okay, that's helpful. That's really helpful. Very, very helpful. It's helpful that blue is kind of blue's kind of at a little bit of an advantage because they're not competing with anybody, but it's nice for us because they're also not getting in our way. So I believe that the answer here is going Boston to New York. We look at that. Woohoo, we complete a ticket. Then I think we also grab San Francisco to Salt Lake right now as well. I've got the tickets. I've got the cards. It looks like Green and I are just going to be kind of on the same path. And so I guess my question now is, I really like this kind of idea of going through St. Louis and coming down to Nashville and then coming over to Washington, because that just connects up quite a lot. But we're pretty much going to be... I don't have to do that, though. Right now, anyway. But the question is, am I continuing to roll the dice that nobody comes down this eastern coast? Or needs to go through the middle? Red clearly had just small stuff, and so they're not as concerning to me. I'm going to feel better if I can get Salt Lake to Denver. So we're going to do that, and I think I'm also going to grab this green because I am thinking of grabbing New York to Pittsburgh because that also gives us some more options of where we can go. That red's still there. I'm probably grabbing it and saving the wild. And then, yeah, I think I'd like to hook up. Yeah. I think that it is an intelligent move to try to do kind of the Chicago thing if possible. I also just might want to grab Nashville to Atlanta just to do it. Okay, I think we don't want to dilly-dally anymore on that. Okay, so yeah, this is now why things get a little interesting here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I want to give myself as many options as possible. And I'm assuming green's going to try to... Yeah, so green does that. Okay, I'm going to do this and this. And... Okay, so we'll see if green has 2 pink. I hope they don't. Okay, green decides just to reroute anyway. Okay, so green, I think, maybe saw that coming and just decided, I'm out. So, you know what? I feel really good. Everybody in Chicago! Woo! I feel really good about doing that. Now, this does mean I need white. and now I don't get the Nashville to Atlanta. I'm really not as concerned about that, to be honest with you. I am more concerned about now, I think, grabbing a Atlanta to Raleigh and white. So, like, I want to do this, because now I've got two options to hook up to my train. And I mean, I guess I do have an out here to go Duluth to Omaha to Kansas City. I would prefer not to do that. The other thing that I am becoming increasingly aware of is there's just a lot of time being wasted here. A lot of time being wasted. And I don't love that. I do have two very big tickets, but that's not going to be enough in this game. Yeah, I don't love that everyone else is drawing destination tickets except me. But I don't think I'm in a position where I can, because I really need some other stuff. So I think that green is probably my biggest worry right now, with blue being second, red being third. Unless red doubles their tickets, I don't really care that much. So yeah, I'm okay going off the top. I'm okay just grabbing the pair. Of course, had I gone off the top, I would have gotten a wild, but so be it. Probably at this point, I do look at grabbing a wild. Just to, though, I don't know. Because I do need other stuff once I draw. I'm going to go off the top a little bit. Okay, so there's a white. So now I think I'm feeling a little bit better to... Okay, so now I think with blue playing that, I want this right now, because I think blue is trying to do some sneaky stuff. And I want to force blue to have to like go Pittsburgh to St. Louis, because blue could have came down to Raleigh and then over to Nashville, St. Louis. That would have been a much easier hookup than what they're looking at. All right, I'm taking the wild. Of course, there was a white on top. But so be it. So as long as green doesn't ruin our plan, we're going to grab that, and then we can draw some tickets. For having, kind of a big traffic jam and competing for routes with a lot of other people, I think that's about as good as we could have gotten it. All right, so let's see what we can get. Let's draw some stuff. All right, hey, this is why I love going through the middle of the map. Denver to St. Louis, Washington to Atlanta. A little bit of a roll of the dice, but I probably can get Montreal to Atlanta done as well. Just need to grab a pair, which should be fairly easy. It really is just whether red needs to get into Boston. That's really the question. And so we're going to hope that just red draws here, or does something not getting into Boston. Fantastic. Love to see it. So green just grabbed a Phoenix to El Paso, wondering if that was a little Phoenix to Boston ticket, which is fine. That's not one that I'm looking for. Oh. Wow. That's a route to hook that up, but a very good route to hook that up. Very, very good route to hook that up. All right, Chicago to New York. Heck yeah. No to Toronto, Charleston. Los Angeles to New York, yes. And I don't think there's any reason why, because we have two that we've already completed, I don't think there's any reason why we need to go Chicago to New Orleans. I know that it would just be 4 of a color that we do already have 1 of, but if there was no other tickets or we only had 1 of them, I maybe would have said, okay, it's not. I want to get the second ticket. But because I already had 2 tickets that I completed, who cares? I don't need to try to force this other ticket. In fact, kind of now I want to start gathering some cards and kind of hoping that, maybe I can, maybe I can get some points on board. No one's running away with it. Everyone's kind of running some same routes. I guess maybe it was a mistake not to take the New Orleans, but I don't know. I don't. Given the cards, maybe that was where I should have looked. But I don't know. It's just as likely as we miss out on it, and then we just lose 7 points unnecessarily when we had a 5-point and a 20-pointer already done. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab some stuff that maybe could give me, like if we can just grab Sault Ste. Marie to Winnipeg, cool. I'm happy to get 15 more points at this point, given especially where the tickets are. That no one's running away with a bunch of tickets. Yeah, see, that's very nice, because I'm assuming that Red's trying to also now get down into Atlanta to New Orleans. So, you know what? We'll make it more difficult by grabbing that orange. And I'm not feeling like I really need to do a whole lot of drawing. Happy to grab a pink there. I'd at least like to, at least before I draw, I'd like to get, again, my cards together to be able to, maybe react to something. But I also kind of just, I don't know, I feel good about where my tickets are at, and so I don't want to, again, maybe this is incorrect train of thought, but one of the things that I've seen often is it's fun to draw tickets. The dopamine hit that you get when you draw tickets and hit is unbelievable. It's just, you can't match it. And so I think what happens is I convince myself that I need to draw because I'm like looking for that hit of dopamine, whereas what it really comes down to, is sometimes the smartest thing to do is just take cards and points and stick with what you have. Because as of this point, I have the most destination tickets. Now, there's a chance that blue, I'll say there's a chance that blue would have taken 2, but red doesn't take any. Red hooks up their stuff, and there's a chance that I suppose that green takes 3 and ties me, or green takes 4 and beats me. I like those odds. I like the odds that that's not going to happen. And so now I'm 8 points down from the leader, but I have the most tickets. I have good tickets. So I think just knowing when to hold and grabbing some cards to kind of just finish off the game can be a really good thing. All right, yeah, there's that Phoenix to Boston, Calgary to Phoenix. Okay, that's a good get late in the game. Yeah, there's Vegas to New York. And so, yeah, green was not a world beater by any means. I was like, what did yellow have? That's us. I am yellow. So we had a mix of big and small. And so, we're pretty much tied with green here. But the fact that we're going to get a 15-point boost here is huge. Now, blue is also kind of looking really nice. Blue had a really nice set of tickets, but again, just didn't quite have the juice. And it doesn't matter who has longest train because I will be the victor. So yeah, so you look at this and go, I look at this and I say, yeah, had we drawn, we very easily could have lost this game because we draw some dud tickets, and now all of a sudden I'm losing 8 points, and maybe my opponents do a little bit different where they draw and they hit, but really that's going a little bit too far. Really, the big thing is this was not that far and away of a victory that losing points wouldn't have mattered. There's some times where you crush your opponents and it's like, well, whatever, I could have drawn 10 more times and it wouldn't have mattered. But this game, very real possibility that we could have lost this had we drawn again. So I'm feeling very good about that decision. So again, no one ran away with points and claimed routes. We were only 8 off the leader. we were actually, interestingly enough, Blue had the most completed destination tickets, which Blue had some really nice tickets. The San Francisco to St. Marie, Portland to Pittsburgh, Los Angeles, Chicago, Portland to Houston, really, really good. Even the 13.1. But this is also where I hate that 2-point ticket. It's deceptive because it pretty much gives you absolutely nothing. Let's see here. Collected train cards. We were second high, or, in the middle there. Chemist took the least amount. Very heavy across the board on taking visible train cards, which, given the route that everyone was taking, it was very color specific, and because we were all kind of competing, we were all looking for very similar things. Makes sense. Trains, we were makes sense with the points, and let's see here. Chemist had 2 more routes claimed than the rest of us, which makes sense, again, with a Northwest thing. Everyone kind of kept the same amount of train cards. Again, the top 2 took an average of 4, and the bottom 2 took an average of 4. So everyone kept 3 initial train cards. So the score on this makes a lot of sense, where we all had about the same amount of tickets. And so really, if you remove all of the bonuses, we're all about the same, which only being red is the one that's the outlier, and the only reason for that is because red was on the East Coast, which is smaller tickets. The rest of us everybody played pretty much the same game. So, all right, well, hey, if you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and we'll see you next time.